The primal area on the Fortnite island might be spreading, reversing the entire island's technology back to the Stone Ages. All the while, we're getting new hints of the return of Kevin the Cube? Yeah, there is a lot to unpack, but in order for these theories to make sense, you have to be caught up with the storyline of Fortnite so far. So let's step back and do a quick recap. This season has given us the most storyline-filled 2 weeks in Fortnite's history, just after the end event, so there's a bit of recapping to do. We all watched the live event and opening cinematic and are pretty caught up on what happened, but if you need an in-depth look at the event, go check out our most recent storyline video. But since that event happened, the world of Fortnite has been going through some pretty intense changes. While you might have noticed it, a lot of things have been happening behind the scenes. After the event, John Jones became trapped in the loop, currently running around on the island in a brown cloak. You could see him in a few loading screens in Season 6 exploring the island and fighting the Battle Royale. He's also left a mysterious audio tape at Colossal Crops, and we'll talk about that soon. But as for the Foundation, he's still sealed inside the 0 point, although some weird things have been happening to the spire beneath him. Lately, purple crystals have been appearing on and around the spire, and we're expecting them to continue to grow as the season progresses. We've also seen the color of the primal biome actually get brighter with the most recent update, although we don't know why yet. But now that you're caught up, it's time we talk about the corruption theory. In just the last few days, POIs all around the map have been building barricades on the outskirts for some unknown reason. It started on the day of the update when Pleasant Park received some odd barricades near the entrance. And just a few days ago, Misty Meadows has now joined Pleasant in fortifying the area, and you can see that this is a pattern that's not going to stop here. According to leakers, Sweaty Sands and Retail Row are also going to be building barricades in the next few days. We don't know what this is all leading to, but it could have something to do with the corruption theory. This is the idea that the primal boundary of the Fortnite island is actually going to expand throughout Season 6. I mean, think about it. Each Fortnite season for Chapter 2 has had a pretty specific name. Season 2 was Top Secret, which was both a nod to the agency and also the top secret plan to build the device. And then we had Season 3 as Splashdown, which gave us more water-themed items and POIs throughout the season, kind of like Coral Castle. With Season 4 came Nexus War, and the whole season was about preparing for the Nexus War against Galactus, which came in the live event. Season 5 was simply named 0 Point, and it fit the theme of the whole season being revolved around, well, 0 Point. The hunters came from the 0 Point portals, the ore became more unstable as the season progressed, it all came together. And so that brings us to Season 6, which is simply called Primal. It focuses specifically on the primal part of this season, which means that's what we should be focusing on until Season 7 at least. So because of this, I personally think that the primal biome is going to play a much bigger role in the build-up to next season. And this isn't just speculation, we actually have evidence that the primal boundary is going to expand in real time. A few POIs around the map are already getting orange grass around them, such as Pleasant Park, and we could be seeing some huge changes soon to these areas. It's very possible that they're building the barricades to try and fight anyone coming from the primal boundary, such as the Spire Guardians or the wild animals. So will we see Pleasant Park turn into something like Primal Park soon? It's very possible. Now, we don't know how far this could actually extend. What if it somehow encloses the entirety of the island in primal technology by the end of the season? Definitely cool to think about, like an old version of Coral Castle or the Redacted Bunker. It likely won't happen, but there's always a chance. And while the primal biome is extremely important for Season 6, there's something else happening behind the scenes, something hidden in plain sight. Let's talk about the cube theory. This season has had more secret references to Kevin the Cube, the 0 Point, and the Imagined Order than any other season in history. And if you're wondering where we've seen Kevin the Cube, he's been hidden throughout Season 6 in all kinds of places. Kevin the Cube seemingly has way more connections to the Imagined Order than we first thought. If you take a look at the current layout of the Fortnite island, we've all gotten pretty used to it by now. But if you focus specifically on the primal biome, something incredible can be seen. On each corner of the primal boundary, there's a small spire guarded by an NPC, but if you look closely at where each of these spires are located, and then compare it to Kevin the Cube's runes from Chapter 1, it's almost exact. And if you're still not convinced, simply get any pen tool and connect the dots between every single spire. And quite quickly, you realize it's a cube. It's a really cool Easter egg. You have to be a little nitpicky with it, so it's not 100% like, oh, the cube's returning because we made the map, but it's still cool. And as for the connection between Kevin and the Imagined Order, all you need to do is really think about it. On these spires, you can find a rune at the top of them. It's the same rune for each spire, but where have we seen this symbol before? Well, just take a look at the Imagined Order's own logo. It includes many runes around the S in the middle, and one of them is the one we're looking for. So clearly the Imagined Order have some kind of connection to these spires and Kevin the Cube himself. And we're not the only ones analyzing these runes and the spires, because there's a man on the mission to do just that. Meet Raz, one of the later skins of this season's Battle Pass. Raz looks like a regular dude at first, but he is completely themed around Kevin the Cube and its glyphs. glyphs. Before you even get to Raz at tier 50, the battle pass teases you with a ton of glyph-themed items. In tier 38 is his pickaxe, which is carved from a single 0-point crystal. In tier 39, you unlock his wrap, which is simply the Kevin runes. His spray is at tier 40, followed by a Kevin glyph banner at tier 43. And things get even more interesting as we move on to his glider, which is extremely cube-themed, and finally, obviously, his back bling at tier 46. It's a scroll with glyphs on it, but I'm very interested in the symbol at the top there. What could this be? But moving away from that, we go to the main attraction, Raz himself. You can spot the scroll we just looked at on Raz's waist, and if you look at his back, he has a shard of Kevin the Cube attached to the rope. And so sure, we pointed out all of this, but what does it mean? What is Raz's connection to the cube? Well, that comes from looking at what Raz has been doing. His description is that he is on a mission to learn the Spire's secrets, and that involves tapping into those mysterious glyphs and learning about them. If you do some of Tirana's quests at Boney Burbs, you'll eventually get some really interesting dialogue from her. She says that she can't keep her promise because her device was stolen by Raz, so clearly he's been up to something. If you track Raz down at Colossal Crops and talk to him, he tells you where the device is and mentions that it's extremely interesting once you understand it. The challenge will then tell you to play the last log, so if you head to the device, it will play a very disturbing message from none other than John Jones himself.
Listen to the crystal song.
Weird, huh? This seems like it is the final reality log recorded by Jones before he became trapped in the loop. It's odd. So Raz is investigating the Spire in real time, as we could see from the challenges, and he tells us to come back later because he has some work to do. Clearly, we've got to keep an eye on Raz further down the line. And as for the crystal song, clearly something's happening here with Kevin, the glyphs, and the 0-point crystals on the Spire that we have yet to realize. But this is pretty much the whole theory about how Kevin ties into the island and how he was actually connected to the Imagined Order this whole time. In my opinion, it's almost certain we see them bring him back near the end of the season or beyond. And speaking of the end of Season 6, this is where we finish off with our final theory. It's time for the end of Season 6 theory. We've talked a few times about the upcoming Batman 0-point comics that are releasing in the next few weeks, and for good reason. These are going to give us more storyline than the actual game has ever given us. Donald Mustard, who's in charge of the story, has stated that he wants to reveal a lot about how the island works through these comics, and we already have a lot to learn from what's already out there. Here's a summary of what happens in each issue of the comic. In issue 1, we were introduced to Batman, and a crack is going to split above Gotham, dragging him into the world of Fortnite with no memory of who he is or where he came from. He fights to recall his past and break this endless loop of chaos and struggle. But in issue 2, he is completely stuck in the loop, which also confirms that time resets every 22 minutes. He sees Catwoman, and they both try to remember each other, but then by issue 4, Batman will have found a way out of the loop. He's gonna explore the island without limitation and learns quote-unquote secrets about the world of Fortnite never before revealed in game or anywhere else. And he's also gonna run into Deathstroke, who is now going to become a skin in the future of Season 6. That aside, in issue 5, Batman, Catwoman, and some other Fortnite skins make their way to the Imagined Order's underground complex, where they uncover revelations about the history and inner workings of the island. And in the final issue of the comic, Batman and Catwoman return to the island and have one shot to get back home. This is where we are apparently going to learn who's behind the world-shattering events of our story, which could be huge and potentially tell us more about the Imagined Order, the Seven, and even Gino and the Sisters. It's important to understand that Donald Mustard wants to tell or reveal a lot about the Fortnite storyline through the Batman comics, and there's a lot to learn from the teasers so far available. It is very possible that Batman even bumps into John Jones and helps him get out of the loop. That one is just speculation, but it could very well happen. There is a war happening right now between the Imagined Order and the Seven, and while neither of them are showing themselves, it's only a matter of time before this war comes out into the open. The Imagined Order wants to keep control of the loop and make sure no one escapes, while the Seven are looking for Gino and the Sisters. The question is, who will win? That's currently all the theories we have for today's storyline video. Make sure to click on screen right now to check out our next video. Of course, this has been Tommy. Keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.